Welcome, Sens Talk.
Russell winds in, feeds it back across the strike, and scores! Brady Tkachuk makes it 2-0. Claude Giroux, hit along, scores!
Ronnie! Tim Stutzock cross, Tkachuk score! The captain, Brady Tkachuk, buries it with 1:18 to go.
See you later. Go Sens, go!
All right, welcome back to Sens Talk. I am joined with Ottawa Senator defenseman Jacob Bernard Docker. JBD, welcome back to the show, my friend. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me.
Good summer so far. We were just talking a little bit before the interview, but why don't you tell the Sens faithful what you've been up to this past couple of months in the off season?
Yeah, it's been good. Obviously a little too long. But I was just out in Minnesota training this summer, so a bit of a change up, but really enjoyed it and feeling good coming into camp here.
Do you train with anyone that, is famous, or you kind of just train with college players? What's your training group like down there?
Yeah, I mean there's lots of pretty high-end guys that train there. I was out at a spot called Empowers Performance, but I guess some notable guys are, McDonough, Dumba, Besser, Nelson. I'm missing a lot. There's a good group, but yeah, it was good for me to watch some of those guys train and learn a few things along the way. So
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, you name some guys there that have been around the league for some time. I mean, those are some, heavy hitting defensemen there, literally as well, some heavy hitting defenders. We'll talk about this later in the interview, but what do you really take away when you get to train and practice in the off season, and of course, just, throughout the regular season as well, with such veteran-like players like Dumba, McDonough, etc.?
I think just how they prepare their bodies, obviously, watching guys that have been around the league for a long time, they know what they're doing and they know at that point in career what's working for them. Obviously, my training as a bit of a younger guy is going to be a little bit different because my needs are different, but yeah, just how committed they are to coming in every day. And yeah, I think that's probably my main takeaway is just kind of their discipline and their willingness, like even this late in their career, to take care of their body.
Yeah, on that note, we've seen some guys really jack up and get huge going into this regular season. Tom Chabot looks beefy. He's been slamming the chicken and rice, no doubt. Tim Stützle as well has looked to gain some muscle. Kachuk's always a freak of nature in the best way possible. What kind of goes into your regimen going into the regular season, especially a pivotal one like this one?
Yeah, definitely a lot of chicken and rice. That's definitely a staple around here. So, but yeah, my training, I guess it's this summer was a lot of plyos, jumping. That's one thing I was trying to improve, is just kind of like my explosiveness and my, first like 5 stride skating. So I was doing lots of power skating stuff and yeah, just trying to gain an edge really wherever you can. And for me, it's just trying to get a little bit faster and a bit more explosive.
Yeah, I have to ask, obviously Jacob Chikrin's been traded to Washington, but, we've seen Sanderson kind of pick up the liver, the raw liver diet. Is that kind of something that's in the realm of possibility for you, or are you going to, stick to cooked meat?
Yeah, I mean, I usually eat pretty healthy, but I think I'll probably stay away from the liver. I've tried it before. It's just doesn't go down very easy. So,
What's it like? I mean, like, I can't even imagine eating raw liver. What was that like? And frankly, was it Chikrin that asked you to do it? Was it Sandy? How did that kind of happen?
no, I don't know if I've ever eaten it with those guys. My brother's a pretty big health nut, so he's eating all kinds of crazy stuff in the summer too. So that's kind of usually where I try it. But yeah, I haven't tried it with Sandy or Chicky.
We'll stick with chicken and rice, like I say, Jacob. We'll stick with
Yeah.
chicken and rice. Obviously a new coach coming into town this year. Have you had a chance to speak to Coach Green?
Yeah, we met and have spoken, a couple times around the rink. Obviously they're not really allowed to be participating with us too much right now, but yeah, seems like a really good dude, and I'm excited to get the season started.
Obviously, you have friends around the National Hockey League. What have you heard about Coach Green?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing for our team is that, we just need to come into training camp in good shape this year and be ready to start the season off quick. And yeah, I mean, I've heard great reviews, and like I said, just excited to kind of get on the ice with all the boys and the coaches together and get things started.
Yeah, on that note, there's a lot of new guys you're going to be getting on the ice with going into this, camp, preseason, and of course, regular season. Some notable additions up front, but also on the back end, of course, Nick Jensen as part of that Jacob Chikrin trade I just mentioned. But also, you have a couple other guys like Halen Addison brought in on a PDO. So, what do you view, your role going into next year as, and what do you think about some of these additions the Sens brought in this past summer?
Yeah, I mean, I think the additions are, definitely going to help. I think those guys, can all play a role in a different way. And I guess for me, it's just, kind of coming in with, same mentality I had last year and just trying to build. I think obviously you want to come in and show that you're in better shape. You got faster. You made a few changes to your game and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing for me to come in and show that I'm physically ready and that I'm willing to play kind of like a physical shot blocking style game.
On that note, we're going to get into some of the stats about your shot blocking and whatnot. You did lead the Sens the last couple of years and shot blocks per 60, and we'll talk about that in a second. But on that note, just your style of play, when you kind of entered the league and were drafted, of course, you were known as more of a two-way guy. He had some really high offensive seasons and was kind of leaned upon as an offensive guy or a two-way guy, I should say, with some offensive ability with Team Canada at the World Juniors. Now you're more known for your defensive style and are kind of focusing on your defense and your physicality. What kind of went into that change? And would it be safe to say that you're more of a defensive, physical type of defender now?
Yeah, and I think I've always been that way. Obviously, I had, a little bit more offense in my game, maybe at lower levels, but I think that's pretty much true for everyone. I mean, everyone in the NHL was probably an offensive player on their junior team. So, for me, when I kind of broke in last year, I guess it's kind of like, well, you see that there's guys like Shabby and Sandy that are obviously very talented and more offensive instinctually. And so for me, it's just trying to fit in and have a role. So just trying to be reliable and steady and be a good PK or stuff like that. So I think yeah, obviously you love to be offensive every now and then, but that's definitely not, my role on the team.
On that note of being offensive, I just want to bring this up. The National Hockey League in the summer, you know how it is in the peak of the summer, they're putting out some really obscure stats, some weird graphics, and I'll put it on the screen now for you guys watching. But, Jacob, you were the leading goal scorer on the right side along the blue line in the National Hockey League. You had 3 goals from the top of the zone on the right side. You led the National Hockey League from that spot. What kind of goes into you being the king of goals from the right side? We just kind of spoke about, you're a guy that's kind of focused more on the physical side of things, but hey, you are leading in a zone, part of the National Hockey League for goals. What kind of goes into that? And you got a little secret to tell the National Hockey League?
Yeah, that's pretty funny. I had a few buddies send me that graphic over the summer. It's a pretty crazy list. There's, one guy that maybe doesn't belong there, but three of my 4 goals obviously last year were from that spot. So really just probably not trying to score on any of them, just trying to get them to the net for a tip. But sometimes you get a little lucky and, they'll go in. So.
I mean, firstly, you deserve to be there. Let's just say that. Anyone that's on Sens Talk deserves the best things possible for them. But, I mean, you're literally next to Drew Doughty and Nylander, and then Draisaitl's in the corner there, and you see Hyman as well. I mean, that's an elite list there. So that's pretty funny to see, of course. But you think we're going to see more goals from the right side there, or, do you want to change it up a little bit going into the next year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you'll hopefully see a few more. I mean, that's obviously where I'm usually in the offensive zone is at that right point. And, I think this year, hopefully try and gain even a bit more of a shooting mentality, like pucks coming to me low to high, just getting them to the net and just being kind of smart with my selections of where I'm putting in, hopefully getting some more tips. And, a lot of the time when you just send it to the backside, it'll hit someone and go in. So, yeah, hopefully a few more from that spot for sure.
Yeah, do you and Travis Hamonic just practice one-timers from the point there? Because we all know Travis Hamonic just likes to unload from the blue line. Sometimes it's kind of like, what's his name from the Mighty Ducks? It'll go wide and break the glass, but sometimes it goes bar down and it's some electric stuff. You guys practice that of course, during the practices?
Yeah, I mean, we're always doing lots of D shooting after practice, so it's Hammer definitely does like the slap shot more than most. So, maybe I'll have to take a page out of his book and throw a couple clappers in there too.
Yeah, hopefully, I'm going to be at some games this year, so you make sure you get the crowd going. We got to have goals. We got to have goals from the blue line, and obviously, with some of the moves we've had on the blue line, we lost some offense with Chikrin. Maybe you can step in and be that guy that brings that offense right back. We'll be keeping an eye. You both have the name Jacob, so hey, maybe you just got to step in and be that guy, Jacob. But speaking on that note, instead of the offensive side of things, I want to take a look at the defensive side of things, where we kind of briefly mentioned before, you lead the Sens the last couple of years in blocks per 60. Last year alone, this was a remarkable stat to me. You were just under top 30 in the National Hockey League. We're 32nd ranked for blocks with 156 in 72 games. That is more than 2 per game, essentially. So that's a very, very impressive rate there. In fact, 75% of the blocks of your National Hockey League career came from last year. So we kind of already spoke about not exactly readjusting your style of game, but more so focusing on your defensive and physical style of game. In your role with the National Hockey League here with the Ottawa Senators, but more so just talking about the blocks for a sec. We can talk about the stats and how that helps the team, but my goodness, how does that feel for your body? Are you doing okay? I mean, my goodness, 156 blocks in 1 year, that must hurt, no?
Yeah, there's nights where you're definitely pretty sore after, but most of the time I try to catch it in a good spot where it, maybe stinks for a few seconds, but isn't too bad after. But yeah, I guess that's just kind of become part of my role. And I mean, I like doing it. I feel like it, hopefully helps the team in certain situations and stuff like that. So, yeah, I guess I don't mind doing it as long as they don't stink too bad.
Have you ever got one really bad? Like, what's the worst one you've probably got? Because, when you're diving there, getting ready to block the puck, you don't know where it's going. You're just hoping it doesn't hurt, or hit somewhere bad, I guess you can call it.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually got a shot from Tarasenko last year. I think it was like 5 games left in the season in Florida, and didn't really look bad probably on TV, but it just caught me in a weird spot, like right on the top of my hand. And the last 5 games of the season, I was like honestly barely could hold my stick. So it was just like a really bad bone bruise. But all healthy now, but sometimes the ones that don't look like they hurt actually just catch you in just the worst spots.
Yeah, and I mean, you're dealing with 156 of them in just 1 year. That's 156, like 95 plus mile per hour shots going at you. I mean, again, thank goodness, a little injury like that with your hand near the end of the year. Luckily, you were able to kind of just recover. But, do you have special guards? Does the team kind of teach you how to properly block? Kind of walk us through that, because again, you're an absolute warrior laying your body on the line day in and day out for the Ottawa Senators. There has to be ways to do it in a more safe way, no?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's definitely guys that I try to watch. Try to watch a lot of like McDonough. He's been so good at it for so long. And yeah, I mean, I guess it's probably a little bit more will than technique, but there definitely is, like, I try to get my hands out of the way as much as I can on most of them, just because if it catches me in the hand, it could be, a broken wrist like pretty easily. But yeah, I actually ended up like putting more like padding on my gloves to kind of just make sure that my hands don't get hurt too bad if I do get hit. And then obviously I've got like the plastic on my skates that a lot of guys are starting to wear now. I mean, if you get one of the ankle without that, it's probably a lot of trouble if it's a hard shot. So those help. And then yeah, other than that, it's you just kind of hope you get it in like the pant area where it doesn't hurt too bad. But if it gets you anywhere on the backside, like hamstring area or in your calf where you don't have your shin pad, it can sting bad.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine. I remember once when I was at the outdoor rink with some of my buddies, and I was a net because I was a stupid kid and I didn't have goalie pads, so they were just shooting at me and took let's just say it wasn't a National Hockey League caliber shot, but it was probably a fraction of the speed you deal with. Took it off the knee, and it hurt like a sudden. We'll bleep out the swear word. We won't even say the swear word, frankly. But if that hurt for me, again, I can only imagine what you feel on a nightly basis. Again, you were averaging literally over 2 blocks a game. So kudos to you for that. And again, clearly that's a big part of your game. You want to be more on that penalty kill, on the physical side of things. But is there another element of your game that you really want to? Of course, once again, your blocking has hit not a peak, but it's one of the best in the National Hockey League, your blocking abilities. But is there another element to your game that you really want to improve going into this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say probably just like my puck moving and kind of my ability to make some, small plays in my own end and some breakout passes. I think that's always something that is good to have for the team if you're making cleaner exits and spending less time in your own end. So yeah, I think that would probably be, other than like my kind of foundational things that I think is part of my game, like that would be the next thing up, would just be being solid on my breakout passes and not being afraid to kind of make a play every now and then, and maybe accepting the consequences if something does go wrong. But hopefully like 80% of the time they're working out and it's just leading to like cleaner breakouts.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, as we were kind of talking about earlier, I'll be at a lot of games this year. Gonna need to see those breakouts, my friend. I know you got it in you. I know you got it in you. You know, you were dominating with the World Juniors with Team Canada. You've shown some good glimpses in the National Hockey League. If you can keep on doing your defensive stuff and bring in some more offense, I mean, my goodness, my friend, we have a hell of a player in the making here, more so already than we already have. Again, already a warrior defensively. Again, you're already leading in an offensive stat. It's time to take over that entire stat, though. Let's get you getting goals from this side of the ice and that side of the ice. But on that note, talking about the size of the ice, you've been paired with, and this is pretty cool. We know the Sens like to draft players that have friends or connections with the other players in the organization. We've seen it with Kachuk and Norris, for example. But a really notable thing has been, you and Tyler Kleven, you were, paired with one another at times with North Dakota. You've been paired in the National Hockey League, and in fact, have been brilliant with one another in the National Hockey League in short stints. I mean, your Corsi 4 percentage, and I don't want to be a stats nerd, but your Corsi 4 percentage was nearly 64%. So you guys were dominating when you guys were together with one another, pardon me, on the ice. So kind of walk me through that experience of not only getting to, go to the National Hockey League with a former teammate of the NCAA, but more so, how does that help improve your play between one another at that next level?
Yeah, I think just the familiarity. I think Clevy's, in some ways a similar player to me, that I think we're both, responsible defensively and, both like to try and join the rush when we can. But I think it's always more like, let's keep the puck out of our net first and, deal with the rest later. But yeah, he's a great player, lots of fun to play with, and obviously brings a physical element to his game too, which is awesome because it's tough to play against.
Yeah, and do you think it helps at all that you've played with one another for so long at this point? Not only, of course, on the ice, that chemistry should help, no doubt, but off the ice as well, just that adjustment to get to that next level, whether it's in the AHL or, of course, now in the National Hockey League, where you're both competing for spots at the main camp.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think when you know a guy off the ice, you feel more comfortable maybe going up to him, on the bench, and if something went wrong or even if something went good, talking about the play. And yeah, it's always nice to know guys off the ice and away from the rink, and kind of know their personality and just kind of what makes them tick. So that definitely can translate to, to more success on the ice.
What is Tyler Kleven like off the ice? We've seen him on the ice, physical guy, controls the ice, but off the ice, what's he like?
He's a pretty quiet dude. Pretty reserved. I think definitely a lot of fun to be around. It's kind of funny in college. We didn't hang out a ton, but I feel like we've kind of gotten a little closer since we've been in the organization together. So yeah, I mean, it's always awesome having ex teammates with you.
Yeah, I was talking to Angus Crookshank the other day, and he was mentioning to me some of the roommates he's staying with right now. Are you and Cleven staying together, or kind of what's that situation like for you right now, of course, as we head into camp?
No, I'm staying with Ridley Gregg.
Oh, the
So
Riddler, the Riddler. Do you guys
yeah.
talk about the slap shot a lot? Is that something that comes up quite often? And kind of talk to me on that note, just about that moment, I guess, with Ridley. I mean, what was it like after in that locker room, and of course the media circus afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of us really realized what it was going to turn into, but it was pretty funny. And I mean, there's still people that bring it up. We were at charity golf tournament yesterday, and there's some guy that, was bringing it up, saying how much he loved it and stuff like that. So it's pretty funny to see, like, people on the outside, how big of a deal it was. And yeah, it'll definitely be interesting playing them this year.
Yeah, I mean, definitely circle the calendar for that one and get Kachuk and some other generals out there with really great because I think there may be some penalties and some fists thrown in that first matchup. And did you guys give him a hard time? Just, obviously we say, look, if you go on Twitter, half the Sens accounts you find are going to have that profile picture of really Greg slapping that puck. Do you guys give him a hard time about it and kind of just like tease him about it, or is this something that's kind of just like you said, not as much of a big deal as it is for us on the outside looking in?
Yeah, I'd say the media definitely thinks it's a bigger deal than we do, but I mean, we'll talk about it occasionally if it pops up. But I still remember, like, the next day, like, we saw it on Sports Center like literally 100 times, and we just did not understand, like, what was the huge deal about it. So yeah, it was funny though when it happened. Definitely really funny.
Yeah, again, when you're playing the Leafs, it's the Battle of Ontario. You know how it is in Canada. Little things like that. And then, of course, the Morgan Riley thing. It's going to blow up. But honestly, that lasted for over a week. I couldn't believe people were still talking about it a week later on TSN, on Sportsnet. That was shocking to me. You see that sometimes on Twitter and stuff. But my goodness, I mean, really, Greg has certainly announced himself as a pesky player, we'll call it, in the National Hockey League, and we absolutely love to see that. Is there a future for you, JBD, slapping, a shot into the net on a breakaway? We've seen Giroux do it. We've seen, of course, really Greg do it. Are you next in line?
I mean, the only way I'd get a breakaway is out of the box, so hopefully that happens this year. And I don't know if I'll pull that one out,
Yeah, keep your
but
cards close. Don't be telling the future goalies.
yeah, we'll see.
We'll have to see. Just on the note about Tyler Kleven, what can you tell Sens fans about him on the ice? Like, you've played with other players. What's one thing you noticed with Tyler Kleven? And I asked this because you and Kleven are expected to be or projected to be the third pairing going into the upcoming year. What can you tell Sens fans about that?
Yeah, I think he, just for a big guy, maybe people don't realize how much skill he has. I think it's pretty impressive. Like, his puck handling, his skating. He obviously has a bomb of a shot, and yeah, I think that's probably the biggest takeaway. Is just like his puck skills are pretty impressive for a big dude, and that definitely helps. I think, like I said, like, anytime you can add the breakouts and better little dink passes and pops to the middle type things, I think that always helps as a D pairing. And when you can count on a guy to make those plays, and definitely is really advantageous.
Now, I want to transfer to off the ice here, where, of course, the Sens have new ownership for the last year. Before we kind of get into that, have you noticed a major change with the new ownership? And if so, what were they? Or what are they so far, I should say?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say probably just the vibe. And I think he's done a great job so far of supporting us and kind of giving us any resource we need. So it's been all good on that side. So now it's kind of up to us to go on the ice and start getting those results.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was at the media launch event just a few days ago, last week, it was mentioned that they upgraded some of the facilities. Can you talk to us a little bit about that and some of those big improvements you've seen?
Yeah, so they kind of tore down like part of the gym and removed one of the walls, so it's a lot more open now, and then moved the medical room like right next to the gym, so the trainers can kind of see what we're doing working out, and be kind of a little more connected, I guess, with our strength guys, I think, is the idea of it. So it looks great so far. And it's definitely a much bigger, more open space. And yeah, it's been nice working out in there.
Now, the last question before I really transfer over to like some fun questions and whatnot is, of course, you just signed that 2-year extension with Ottawa. What went into that decision? I mean, what do you love about the city, about the organization that went into signing for another 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, I've loved it ever since I got here. I think the people are probably the best part about it. I mean, the people in the organization and outside of it, like, I've had a great opportunity to kind of start my career here, and hoping it just gets better and better and better. And but yeah, I mean, I like the city as well. It's pretty low key, and I feel like for me, like that's exactly what I want. Like not doing a lot other than just focusing on hockey. So it's good, and I've got a couple cousins in the area too, so it's always nice to have a little bit of family around. And but yeah, say that's kind of the reasons that I decided. Yeah.
Now, just the last thing I wanted to ask before I get into some fun questions and whatnot about the team and the locker room and everything is, obviously, as you kind of mentioned a few times in this interview, you mentioned the fact that, the boys have had to go into this camp, putting on some weight, putting on some muscle. It's a huge season. We all can see it. We all feel it. You guys are all saying it. So, what are the expectations going into this upcoming season? Of course, with some key acquisitions as well, Linus Allmark, which of course, is a massive, massive acquisition. Jensen, Amadio, Perron, the list goes on. What do you think? What are your expectations for, the Ottawa Senators going into the next year?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to throw anything out there that's gonna, put undue pressure on our team or whatever. But I think there's definitely just a good vibe going into this year, especially with the new guys coming in. They all seem like really good dudes off the ice, and they all bring kind of a unique skill set to the team, and maybe something we didn't have in the previous years. So I'm just excited. I think yeah, the key to us kind of having a good season would just be getting off to a good start and making sure we just build from there. It's so hard to kind of put a projection out there when you haven't played a single game this season, and you got 82 to go. So I think for us, just getting off to a good start is kind of the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you mentioned that golf tournament just yesterday. That was probably the first formal time the whole team got together with one another. What was that like? And, tell me if I'm wrong. Was that the first time you guys got together? Or have you guys been able to, as a team, kind of meet before? Because I know
No,
you
I
guys were
mean,
practicing a little bit at the
yeah,
CBC, right?
yeah. I mean, we've been together for the last week before that, so it's not like the first time we've all been together. But yeah, I mean, that's always good to raise funds for mental health and stuff like that. So I think that's a huge thing for the community every year. So um, being there is awesome, and seeing the proceeds that are raised is really cool. So, and then obviously being able to golf with your team, and then with people from around the community that you get to meet, it's a pretty cool event. So I liked it a lot.
Are you a big golfer, by the way, or is that something you kind of just do here and there?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy golf. I'm not like great by any means. Like, I play a fair amount in the summer, maybe like twice a week early in the summer, and then the last part of the summer just kind of just really focusing on training and stuff. So, but yeah, I like to get out for a round for sure.
Now, speaking about some of those players the Sens brought in, and of course you've been meeting the last week or so, three of them are Stanley Cup champions. Now we know the Sens have some great leaders in that room already, like Kachuk and Claude Giroux and Shabbat. But what do you think those veterans being brought into the room will do for that locker room moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's huge. I mean, guys that have won, obviously, they know what it takes. So, I think that's a big reason that, they got brought in, is because they have that experience and that leadership quality, and, can maybe help guide us in times that are a little harder, or, even when we're winning, like how to stay focused and kind of keep our foot on the gas. And, I think that'll be big for our group for sure.
We've heard a lot about Claude Giroux and Kachuk in particular, about their, I don't want to say loud voice in the room, but when they speak, they're listened to, of course. Same with Shabbat. Talk to us about them as leaders. Like how what goes into, Kachuk and Giroux and Shabbat being such good leaders? What makes them, known around the National Hockey League, just to make it a long answer or long question short, very good leaders.
Yeah, I mean, they've all been around for a while, obviously, and all outstanding players. So I think just their experience. I mean, they all kind of lead in different ways, but like you said, definitely guys that you listen to every time they open their mouth. And yeah, for me as a young guy, those are definitely three guys I look up to, and just like their daily habits, and just like their competitive juices. I think that's maybe the big like similarity between the three of them, is they're all super competitive guys, and they hate losing. So I think that's something that I can definitely take.
Now, there's a few more questions for you. I know you got to go soon. Do you have any pregame rituals? Do you have like a pregame set routine? Do you believe in that? We'll call it voodoo. Do you believe in these kind of things where if you don't do it, there's gonna be karma, or you kind of just go with the flow and see what happens on that game day?
I mean, I think I used to maybe be a bit more like that, but I think since I've gotten to pro, I've just realized like your routine's going to be thrown off by so many things on a daily basis that it's not even worth like thinking about little things that you did or didn't do that might affect your game. It's like at the end of the day, you gotta, realize you're going out there and playing hockey, and sometimes when you feel your worst, you play your best game. So it just works out weird sometimes that I've tried to kind of become a little bit less, I guess, regimented. I still follow a pretty strict routine like daily, but I think if I forget to, have a certain supplement or something like that, I'm not really fretting over it.
Of course, we all know JG Pajot back 6, 7 years ago with the two chicken parm before scoring 4 goals. Is there a meal that you like to have before the games, or like two chicken parm, for example, or like you said, you kind of just going with the flow and just kind of seeing what's happening that day?
Yeah, I usually I keep it pretty simple on the stomach. I just do salmon, sweet potato, and some broccoli. That's pretty standard meal for me right now. Sometimes I'll even throw out the broccoli and just go salmon, sweet potato. So that's usually what I go with.
That sounds pretty good to me. And kind of on that note, of course, is there, what's your go-to spot here in Ottawa? You've been here long enough. You've gone out enough, I'm sure. What's the go-to spot for you guys and for yourself, most importantly?
Yeah, that's tough. There's a lot of good spots. I mean, I know a lot of the guys like Harmon's or Giovanni's for Italian, I think. Um, I like some breakfast spots. Like I just like going to like the Wellington Diner or something like that on off days. But um, I'd say those are probably, my main spots that I like going.
Yeah, what's the go-to meal in the morning there for you? You're a breakfast guy. What's the go-to breakfast?
Yeah, it usually depends what I'm feeling. I'm usually like just like the typical like eggs, bacon, um, hash browns, that kind of stuff, or maybe a breakfast burrito, some along those lines. And then if I'm feeling like I really want to get after it, I'll order a few pancakes. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you can never go wrong with pancakes. Pancakes or waffles though, which one do you like more?
I'd say I don't know, they hit different, but I'd say I usually go with pancakes.
Yeah, good call. We might get some heat for that, but I'm a pancake guy as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've grown out of my waffle phase. Grown out of my waffle phase. Again, Jacob, it's always a pleasure getting to speak to you. Taking some time out of your day. Really, really appreciate it. The last thing I want to ask is, we're ramping up into the rookie tournament and of course the regular camp and the preseason here in the next couple of weeks. What's your final message to the Sens Army as we get ready for the regular season?
I don't know if I really got a message. I mean, thanks for, I guess, following along and supporting us, and hopefully we get off to a good start this season, and you guys can all have hopefully a little more to cheer for this year. But yeah, just appreciate all the support.
Last question, actually, I forgot to ask. You scored a few goals last year. Obviously, we're going to see some more goals from the right side, as we've already went to a few times in this interview. Are you going to break out a special celly though? We've seen the Frank the Tank from Brady Tkachuk. Do you have anything in your repertoire that might come out?
I'm usually pretty standard with Sally's. I mean, I guess my first goal, I did go down on a knee and give it a fist pump. I don't know how many times I've even done that in my career. I was just so jacked up. Didn't even think about that one. So usually it's just two hands in the air, maybe a knee up or something. Nothing too crazy.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that for sure, Jacob. But hey, again, thank you so very much. I know this was a bit last minute, so I appreciate you joining the show, Jacob. We're going to be cheering for you this year. Have a great camp. Look forward to watching you on a nightly basis with the Ottawa Senators. And again, keep an eye out for Jacob on that right side along the blue line. I mean, again, this guy's a merchant for goals on the right side, and he had 3 last year. Let's double that up to 6 maybe this year. Jacob, an absolute pleasure. Good luck going into the year.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brian. I appreciate it.